So today will be a box opening of the Mixpre 3 and also a short initial impression of it. Especially, you notice my table is really messy. It's because I have a lot of accessories I got for it, and to see whether it works out the way I think it does. Now, today is actually a box opening on the Mixpre 3 and a little bit of short introduction and initial preview of it. Now, the reason I got the Mixpre 3 is really simple. Firstly, of course, I run a YouTube channel now, and this guy will actually, increase my audio quality just a little bit, and that's actually not the most important. The other thing is because I do covers, and recently I've been in contact with a few friends, and they are looking to actually record as a band. So having a portable field recorder would be great. Now the thing is, I have a field recorder before, and I have a Zoom F4. Give me a moment. And this is actually the Zoom F4 I have before. Now, the Zoom F4 is, of course, a really good recorder. It's a 24-bit. I did a few recordings with it, but I was never really, I would say, as satisfied. But that being said, during that time, I didn't have a treated room, and also I didn't really have that much, people asking me to record as a band. Now, I have read that this guy here is a lot better, plus it's also 32-bit, so it allows you to record really high and soft volume without any much distortion or anything. Now, I'm not I'm not saying that I'm trying to be lazy by going 32-bit, but definitely this will allow me to, do the records I want in the future without much problems. So let's do a box opening of it and take a look at what's inside. So this is actually the Mixpre 3 box itself, and as you can see, this is the version 2. It's also on the front surface. So let's take a look at what's inside this box. It's a white box. We open it up. Okay, so the inside of the box is quite little things. Firstly, there is the mixer and USB interface and all the various documentation I think stick up here. And then there is the booklet that tells you all the portable audio essentials. I think it's headphone amplifier, pre-interface, and what's not. All their various products they have. And then this is the Mixpre 3 itself. The Mixpre 3 itself. And it's okay, you can see it's actually shrink wrap. But before that, there's actually a few other things inside. So what they have is they give a universal adapter with a lot of heads, a USB-C cable, and then the adapter itself. Okay, so now looking at the packaging itself, what I read that this packaging is actually quite simple. You just open at the side, and then you can get the recorder out like this. So it's actually a really nifty packaging. I thought that it was really well designed, so I decided to do a box opening too, because definitely seeing how they actually wrap this whole thing up is quite an experience of its own. Okay, so then there is this sticker to tell you that this is an authentic device, and there is it's new and what's not. Let me open it up. And there we have it. This is the brand new Mixpre 3 version 2. Mixpre 3 2, actually. And you can see actually if you compare to the Zoom here. Now this is a lot more of a smaller device versus the Zoom. Even though yes, this guy only has 3 ports, and the Zoom here has like 4 ports plus 2 plus a balance out and a lot of other stuff. This guy is so much smaller, and to me this is actually more useful for me because I put it on top of my camera at times, or even mount the camera on top of it. And in fact, because my camera has changed, I think I'll be mounting this on top of the camera, and being a small size is much better. And I only need about 3 ports because the only other recording I'll be doing in the future is probably a guitar and a player, or maybe 2 band members and a single player. So I think this will suffice for my need. So of course I purchased another accessory with it, and that's because I want to power everything through a very more universal power supply, and that is the Hirose power supply unit. Okay, let me open this up. So this is actually the Hirose power supply unit, and because I owned the F4 before, I know that the F4 also uses the Hirose plug, and from what I read online, it should be the same plug. And this is of course powered by, you can see here, this is a D-tap, and let me go and get a battery to try out. Okay, I'm back now, and what I have here is actually one of my V-mount batteries with a D-tap connection, and let's try powering this whole unit up with the D-tap itself. So the thing is that having a D-tap is really convenient because I rigged up my entire video rig So it's powering monitors, wireless receivers, the camera itself. And if I could even power this with the D-Tab, it will actually solve all my entire, combination. So a lot of times I'm working alone, but it'd be nice, at times if I work with other people, then I'll give this guy with power supply through AA batteries. But if not, if I'm working alone, this guy will get mounted on the camera, and then I'll be powering everything with a single source of battery. Okay, now I've connected my Mixpre tree with the Hirose D-Tab, and then let's try powering up with the D-Tab itself. So I connected the D-Tab cable, and let's try powering up this device. So as you can see now, it's fully powered up, and it's great because now I could power everything, my camera, my monitor, my wireless device, and even my recorder with a single battery. That is definitely a very great thing. Now, the next thing I'm going to look at is, of course, two things. Firstly, the 32-bit recording, which is the mic in, and I will try with a dynamic mic and a condenser mic. Followed by, I will also try with the headphone out. So everybody say that this Mixpre has a really good headphone out. So I'm actually an audiophile, so over the years I collected things like decks and headphones. So obviously, this headphone jack cannot fit my big one, so I have a bass headphone itself, and this is actually a Bear Dynamics. This is the wireless one. I believe this is called... Not too sure what is it. I probably go and find out and then tell you guys again. But most importantly, when it's connected through a cable, it sounds really, really good, way better than its Bluetooth connection. And currently it's connected to a Hugo TT, which is probably top of the line in terms of DAC. I'm just want to look at how good is this headphone, output, just for the fun of it. So till then, I will take a look at both of them, and I'll get back to you in a moment. So I'm back, and this is actually a follow-up of just now, and I took the last 2 hours to look at the device itself and what can it do and how does it work. And there's a few things I want to show you in this second part of the video. So I would like to talk about, firstly is the headphone jack, secondly is the USB, and lastly we talk about the 32-bit recording. So let's talk about the headphone jack first. So the headphone jack itself, a lot of people say that the Mixpre 3 has a really good headphone jack, and just now when I tried, it's really quite good. I would say it's way better than the F4. It is cleaner, it is nicer, and if you jack up the volume, it doesn't create that much distortion. That's the important part. As a M deck for a headphone, it is okay. I would say it's on par to most MP3 player, better than I would say as most of the laptops. In fact, my laptop here sounds totally crap, and this is way better. I will probably plug this into my laptop permanently to use it as an audio interface device. Now, if you compare to something, a dedicated M deck like this Hugo TT here, definitely is not comparable. Even though this deck is actually a 32-bit deck, but at least the output is not comparable to the Hugo TT, which has a lot more power to power headphones. So that is pretty much my initial conclusion for the headphone jack itself. Pretty good headphone jack, better than most devices, but definitely not something that you will say as super ultra top notch. It is quite good. And the next we talk about is the USB backup device, that you can plug into this Mixpre 3. Firstly, this is a USB card reader, and it actually works. So what happens is that if you plug this into the device itself, it will format it to exFAT, and you can actually use this as like a USB thumb drive into the Mixpre 3. In fact, just now I tried plugging in an SSD. It actually asked me whether I want to format the SSD. It can see how much space does the SSD have. In fact, it can tell me that the SSD has like 200 gigs, and if I format it, I probably can use it too. So unlike what Sound Device say, you can pretty much plug almost any thumb drive, USB hard disk into the device itself, and it will work pretty much okay. So there is not much limitation when it comes to backing up your files on an external drive. And there's one more thing I want to talk about is the backup part of things. So the Mixpre 3 do not simultaneously write to both the SD card and the USB drive itself. So what it does is it writes to the SD card, and then once you stop recording, it backs up to the USB drive. So it does create a backup, and when you're creating the backup, this red dot here, this recording dot will start blinking to show you the backup itself. But definitely it is not as good as the F4 or F8 zooms, which accepts two SD card and therefore do simultaneous writing. Now, what's the difference between simultaneous writing and backing up? So simultaneous writing means that in the worst case scenario, one of your SD cards get corrupted in the middle of a recording, the other SD card, it will be perfectly fine. But what happens for this is that if one of the SD card gets corrupted in the middle of recording, I'm guessing is the current file you are recording at will be gone. But every single track before that would have been backed up safely. So you will lose the probably last recording file if you are having a corrupted drive just at that moment. But the USB will save you for every single file before that. unlike a full dual recording device like the F4, which means that even if one goes down, you can continue and get all your files in place. That is pretty much the difference. So it's still a good implementation, just not the way I thought it will work. So the last part you can see is the recording itself. So I just want to show you the 32-bit capability of the recording, because it is really what this device is about, the awesome 32-bit recording format. So let's take a look at this screen here, and actually there is 4 recording, one at 6 dB, the other one at 40, next one at 65, and the last one at about 85 dB itself. As you can see here, the last one is totally clipped beyond belief, and if you're using a 24-bit recorder, that is a gone case. You can't really recover it thereafter. But I can show you that you can recover everything else, even the last one in this recording itself. So for the first one, let's hear the recording itself from the start to the end. This is a recording at 40 gain. This is a recording at 65 gain. This is a recording at 65 plus 20 gain. So as you can hear just now, it's quite interesting. Firstly, you can't even hear the first clip, and then the last clip was totally clipping. So I'm going to now bring up the gain for the first clip, and then bring down the gain for the last clip to let you hear that this can be recovered. So what you can see that I raised it about 51 dB of gain, and let's hear it again. This is a recording at 6 gain. This is a recording at 6 gain. So really, as you can hear just now, it is really clean. So now let's hear the back one again. So what I did just now was to reduce the overall gain for the last one by about 15 dB. And you can see that the waveforms all return, and you just have to adjust it until that everything is within the 0 dBFS, and then we can start hearing the recording again. This is a recording at 65 plus 20 gain. So as you can hear just now, it is really, really clean. Even though that thing is so clipped just now, you could actually bring everything back, and that is the power of 32-bit recording. So really, if you ask me, 32-bit is about giving you flexibility to help you record the softest noise to the loudest noise without compromising the recorder itself or having distortion or requiring to use limiters. Now, this is not an excuse to do bad techniques and to do like what I did earlier for the bottom low, soft things that can't even be seen on the waveform. That is not correct. But definitely, if you're going to record like a singer that goes from really soft to really loud, or you're going to record anywhere from raindrops to thunderstorms, I think this is a really good recorder for the field recording purposes. And it's definitely also really good if you are recording like out with instruments and stuff, which can go really soft for the instruments and go really loud thereafter. This 32-bit recorder will probably solve most of this dynamic range issue from the loud to the soft without compromising the quality itself. And that's about it for today's review. This is actually just an initial review of me looking at the device because I just purchased it. I only played it for 3 hours, but I think I get a hang of what this device does, and I'll probably put it to good use in future videos and also in some of my sound recording sections. Till then, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.